Welcome to the Business of Apparel podcast. This is the place to learn how to start and scale your own apparel brand and fill it with loyal customers for years to come. I'm your host, Rachel Erickson, owner and CEO of unmarkedstreet, and I can't wait to share this episode with you. Welcome back to the Business of Apparel podcast. I am your host, Rachel Erickson, and today I am going to nerd out on you about cycling apparel. Now, this is a very, very niche-y or niche-y, however you want to say it, of me, but cycling apparel is my specialty, and it's not something that too many people get to say. I probably know the handful of people in the world who get to say the same thing, that cycling apparel is absolutely their expertise. They could dive in and tell you basically everything you need to know about cycling apparel. I mean, cycling alone is such a niche sport. There aren't a ton of people, especially in the States, who follow it. It's obviously very much bigger in Europe and throughout the rest of the world, specifically in Belgium and France and Italy and Spain. But it is something that I have really grown to love. I am a lapsed triathlete, we'll say it that way. I used to train for triathlons all the time, especially when we were living in Colorado. It was something that I was constantly always I had a training plan every single day. So I was either out running, I was out on my bike, I was doing some sort of swim, or I was doing some sort of weights to get my muscles in shape and make sure that I was really feeling really healthy so that all of my muscles and all of my joints were protected all of the time. And I had very specific instructions on what each of those days was supposed to be. You know, if it was a swim, it was go out to the Union Reservoir and swim 4 laps while wearing your wetsuit and your swim cap and your goggles that you're going to wear on race day. And then the next day it was, go out on your bike. You're going to go 30 minutes north doing 5-minute intervals of, for me, it's 175 watts. I'm not very strong, but making sure that I was hitting certain numbers. And then I would, after the 30 minutes doing that, I would turn around and come home, and it would be a cool down period. And so I just needed to make sure that I stayed in zone 1 or zone 2. And then the runs were always very structured. I need to make sure that I hit, 10 miles today. I'm going to do that. And so when I was training for triathlons all of the time, my ultimate goal, I had little mini races throughout the year. I would do sprints, or I would do Olympic length triathlons throughout the year, but ultimately getting me to my half Ironman, which I did in July of 2016. Now, this was something that I did that one time and had every intention of keeping up with, and just corporate life and some burnout that happened and some stress in the new role that I ended up taking around that same time as well, ended up shifting things. I actually haven't been on my bike in a while, and it's a goal of mine to get back, but I still have a ton of knowledge about the sport, about the industry. My husband is a very avid cyclist. He's actually the one who got me into it. So when we first met and started dating in 2007, we decided to move into an apartment together in 2008. And around that time, we went looking for me to get my first bike. And when we went looking for this bike, I had no idea what to expect. Of course, I'd ridden a bike as a kid, but it was always like a Walmart, Huffy or something. And so it was kind of more like a mountain bike. It was just something to help me get around town because I was too young to have a car. And so if I wanted to go to my friend's house, I would jump on my bike and I would go down the street. But this was a very different experience. And so my husband is really into road cycling. And there are different kind of cycling genres that you could get yourself into if you're really into it. Road is exactly what it says it is. You ride on the road. And so this is where you'll see share the road signs out there on the roads with you. You have bike lanes that cyclists can be in, that if that helps them feel a little bit more protected. Please note, though, that a bicycle on the road is an actual vehicle. So if you see a bicycle out there, by law, it is considered a vehicle. And if they don't feel safe being in the bike lane because maybe there's debris over there, or maybe the road is kind of all chunked up, or it's just not very comfortable to ride on, they absolutely are allowed to take the lane with you. And so this can be a really dangerous way to ride because a lot of times people don't understand that a bicycle is another vehicle out there. And yes, we do move a little bit slowly compared to a car, but we are absolutely allowed to be out there with you. And at the end of the day, we are just out there doing something that we love, and we are not trying to piss you off. If you are out there in your car and you're like, I hate cyclists, and you're one of those people, like, trust me, I have family members who are like that. And they're like, why do you do that? I don't understand. You're always in my way. And we're not trying to be in your way. Trust me, if there were somewhere better for us to ride, or that bike lane was safe and always clean and wasn't going to give me a puncture on my wheels every single time that I rode in it, I would 100% be there. I would be out of your way. I do not want to piss off a car. I do not want to get hit. I do not want anger thrown at me. We've had people throw stuff at us on the road. We've had people yell terrible things at us on the road. My husband has been hit by cars on the road. It is not a safe place to be. And so the dedication and love that you have to have for road cycling is like seriously high to be able to keep going out and doing it day after day when it can be really dangerous and it can be really stressful. But the like euphoria that you get from being on this fast machine and being on these two wheels and getting that kind of like a workout, like your heart is pumping like never before. There's also this element of like youthfulness. Like I mentioned, like I used to ride my bike when I was a kid. And so when I get on my bike now, there's just this element of being outdoors in nature and feeling a little bit like a kid again that is just really, really beautiful. And so just kind of PSA here. If you are traffic and you see a cyclist, just know that they are not trying to be in your way. They are a human being. I am a human being. If you like me and you like this podcast, next time you see a cyclist, think, oh, maybe that could be Rachel. And so instead give a friendly wave and say, go Rachel. That would be a great way to, even though that person's name isn't Rachel, just like give them some enthusiasm. That would be a great way to let them know that you are being friendly out there. So that's one way that you can ride. It is definitely one of the more dangerous ways that you can ride. Now, you can also ride mountain bike. And so a lot of different states and different regions have mountain bike trails that you can go on. Some of them are very rocky. Some of them are very technical. Some of them are single track, which means like only one bike can be on it at any given time. Some of them go uphill. Some of them go downhill. So there are different bikes and different apparel that go with all of this different stuff. Same with on the road. Like if you're a climber, you might wear different apparel. You might have a different bike than if you're a sprinter on the road. And then we kind of have this intermediate class of cyclists that we're calling gravel. And gravel riding is basically a road bike, but with like knobby tires that are more like a mountain bike, which allows you to get on like gravel paths, or you can get on kind of mountain trails, not the really rocky ones because we don't have suspension on gravel bikes, but you can kind of get on more terrain rather than just like a smooth road. And so that sector is really growing, and it's been growing over the last probably decade or so. And there are some amazing athletes who are coming out in the gravel sector, and some of them who are coming from the road scene or coming from the mountain biking scene, and they're kind of taking over this new side of the sport. There's obviously all different other kinds. There's electric bikes out there now. I have an electric road bike. So when I want to go riding with my husband, I turn my battery power on because I need that extra boost to be able to keep up with him. There are cargo bikes. So if you're maybe taking your kids to school on a bike, or you want to go grocery shopping and you want to be able to bring your groceries home on a bike, there are ways there. There are cruiser bikes. I had a cruiser bike for a while and it would get me to and from the beach. It ended up being a little bit too heavy. And so I ended up having to get a different cruiser bike. There are so many different kinds of bicycles out there that you can look into, but being a cyclist means that you probably want to start thinking about what kind of cycling apparel you can wear to make sure that your ride is as comfortable as it can be. Now, there are a variety of different kinds of jerseys. We call them jerseys, and this is very dependent on what kind of riding you're doing. So if you're a mountain bike rider, your jersey is probably going to be a technical t-shirt or some sort of technical top that looks like a t-shirt. This is kind of what they wear. There isn't a lot of like pocketing that you need because a lot of the time you're going kind of straight downhill as fast as you possibly can. These guys are also kind of the more macho side of the cycling world, and they definitely like to look cool in their cycling apparel. So a lot of times just wearing like a funny graphic tee is something that they will do because it's about kind of having that certain kind of aesthetic. We will almost put mountain bikers in a category with like skaters and surfers sometimes. Like it's almost like that kind of vibe. And so a lot of the shorts that mountain bikers want to wear are baggy shorts. Think more like kind of like basketball shorts, but in a technical fabric. You want it to be wicking sweat away from your body. A lot of them are wearing a chamois short underneath their baggy shorts, though, so that they have support on their sit bones on their saddle. And we'll get to chamois and those kinds of things here in a minute. But if you are a mountain bike rider, that's kind of your uniform. It ends up being like baggy shorts, and it ends up being usually like a tech tee or some sort of loose fitting jersey. Some mountain bikers now, if you're watching like professional racing, like let's say you're watching the Olympics this summer in Paris, and you notice that there's a cross-country mountain bike race, they're actually going to wear road kits because they're racing in kind of they're trying to go as fast as they can around a circuit on dirt. And so it's a lot more like road racing. They want to wear something that's compressive and actually fits tight to their body. It's more aerodynamic, and there's not flapping all in the wind. But that's not typically what the typical mountain biker will wear, like out in the wild, like you or I would wear. Are you frustrated by feeling like an outsider in your own industry? You're not alone. I spent years feeling the same way. Are you tired of endless research and you can only learn this stuff by getting a job in fashion advice? Me too. That's why I created the Business of Apparel online course. My years of insider knowledge condensed into video tutorials, demos, and downloads. Learn at your own pace, no fluff. Just key topics like building target profiles and mastering financials. This information is genuinely unavailable anywhere else. Grow your brand, become an apparel industry aficionado, and unlock millions in potential revenue. The value? Over $50,000 with millions potential for your brand. Don't miss out. Sign up for the Business of Apparel online course today at thebusinessofapparel.com/course. So that is kind of the mountain biking uniform. Gravel is kind of anything in between. So when we get to road here in a minute, a lot of gravel riders will actually wear chamois shorts or bib shorts. Again, t-shirts come into play a lot here. So if you can find a technical tee that will help wick sweat away from your body, that's going to be a big advantage. If you're out there wearing a cotton tee, you might get really sweaty and wet. So just kind of FYI. Gravel riders are known for wanting like additional pocketing. So if you see, there are a lot of like cargo bib shorts out there anymore, and there are pockets all over them. And then if you want to put like a t-shirt or something on over that, you've got all of your tools and all of your food and everything that you're going to need for your ride in all of those bib short pockets, so that you can actually bring everything with you and it's held on your body while you're out on your ride. But gravel tends to kind of, just like the sport is kind of in between, the apparel is also kind of in between. If you are wearing your or if you're on a cruiser bike, or you're, taking your kids to school, or obviously you're just going to wear your regular clothes, there are some chamois options for you if you're just wearing like your jeans, or maybe you're commuting to work and you need to be able to wear something underneath your work clothes. I actually recommend that if you're going to work, that if you want to wear a chamois short, you just wear your chamois short and then put on probably either a pair of like mountain baggies over it, or there are like ride specific commuter pants that you could put over it. And then probably changing at work, because you're not going to want to wear your chamois all day while you're there. You're definitely going to need to bring a pair of briefs with you to actually change into once you get to the office. That is something that we've all learned. If I used to commute to work too, and the days that you show up and you either forgot, a pair of underwear, or you forgot your jeans. That happened to me once. I actually had to run upstairs to the jeans department in my cycling kit and say, like, do you have a pair of jeans for me to wear today? Luckily, I work somewhere where we made jeans. That will happen to you. So my recommendation there is, if you're commuting to work, to definitely bring all of the clothes that you need once you get to the office. You probably don't want to wear your work clothes over your commuting clothes, just because you're going to have to change anyway. Again, you don't want to wear your chamois all day. It'll be very uncomfortable. So road cycling is my specialty in this entire category. I've worked a lot on mountain bike clothing. I know a ton about it. I actually feel like some of the product that I've helped to produce and make has been some of the best mountain biking gear out in the industry. I will absolutely hands down vouch for that. But my specialty is in road cycling apparel. Number one, because when I was a triathlete, I was doing road cycling myself. And number two, because my husband does road cycling. And so it's definitely something that we have been paying attention to. We have been purchasing since we started cycling together, which was, again, back in 2008. My husband started racing in 2011 when we were living in Texas. And so we really got into the race scene as well, which then kind of opened up some new doors to the apparel industry. And when we were moving to Colorado, my dream was basically to work in the cycling industry. So I started applying to all of these cycling apparel companies. I wanted to be able to take like our love of cycling and my skills in the apparel industry, my fashion design degree, and kind of smoosh them together into what I was going to do for my career. And so that's what I did. I went out. I ended up having to get a different job at first because I couldn't find a cycling apparel brand to hire me when we were moving to Colorado. But eventually I was hired by Pearl Zumi and then eventually moved on to Specialized. And now I get to work with multiple different cycling brands as a consultant and helping them build their collections. So a few key things about road cycling apparel that I just want to share with you today. If you're a beginner and you're wondering exactly what you should be thinking about doing in the way of buying cycling apparel, and you're thinking about riding on the road, or you're looking for like a traditional cycling kit, the number one piece of equipment, the number one piece of apparel that you are going to be advised to go get, not just by me, but probably by the shopkeeper who is selling you your bike, or someone who, if you go into a specialty bike shop, someone who knows a little bit about the apparel, is going to be a chamois short. Now, I've said chamois like 100 times already today. What is a chamois? So a chamois is the pad essentially that it's sewn into your Lycra shorts, and it helps to support your sit bones while you're on your saddle. So if you've ever been on a bike, let's say you've even just gone to a spin class and you've been on that bike for 30 minutes to an hour, when you get off that bike, your butt hurts. It hurts. And it's not just your muscles, it's the bones underneath, it's your sit bones. And if you sit on a saddle for too long without the correct support and without a chamois helping to be in between your bones and that saddle, you can actually bruise your sit bones and it can be a problem. And so in order to help support your sit bones, support your body, get you in the right position, help you with all of those types of things, we put these chamois in these Lycra shorts. And so it helps to alleviate those issues. It also helps to give you more comfort. It helps you so that you can go ride your bike more often. If you don't have a chamois short on, the chances of you going to ride your bike tomorrow is probably zero because your butt's going to hurt. There's no way you're getting on that saddle again for another day in a row. But if you wore your chamois and it was very comfortable, you might be able to get in a ride the next day. So there are a couple of different options. Number one, you can go for shorts. Now, shorts are going to be, just exactly what they are. They're bike shorts, like just in the fashion industry. If someone said bike shorts to you, they're just these tight little Lycra shorts. And so they have like usually a wide waistband that will help you breathe while you're on your bike. And for cycling specific, there's going to be that pad sewn in to help support you while you're on the saddle. This is usually the entry-level product that most people go for, is a pair of chamois shorts. You want to find a chamois that feels comfortable to you. I have some recommendations if you're interested in hearing them, but chamois are kind of hard to test, to be honest. Like you kind of have to try different brands. You have to try different chamois until you find one that really helps your sit bones be the most comfortable as possible. And so going out there and maybe like when I first started cycling, I bought a clearance pair of shorts from Pearl Zumi. Who knew that I was going to end up working there someday? That was kind of a happy coincidence. But I ended up getting a clearance pair of shorts from Pearl Zumi and I wore them all the time. And the chamois ended up being okay for me. But as I was able to then go buy, a pair from Castelli. And then I was able to buy a pair from Capo. And then I was able to buy a pair from Specialized. I really started to learn that there were different chamois that were going to be better for me and some that weren't as supportive. And so until you can kind of have the budget to buy several different options, you might not know exactly what the right chamois is for you, but my advice is to just buy something that feels pretty cushy to you at first. If the sales rep knows anything about the foams that are inside the chamois, I really recommend that you get something that is 100% foam. There are some chamois out there that have these gel pads in them, and those are actually not very comfortable in my opinion. I mean, you can try them if you want, but I would recommend that you find something with 100% foam, no gel. So try that. And if you like the sport, if you're just getting into it and you buy a pair of chamois shorts and you have a bike and you're testing it out and you like the sport, you've decided, I love this. Then go out and start getting a couple other pairs, testing the different chamois types, testing the different brands. And then you'll be able to kind of understand if there's a brand in a chamois that is perfect for you. And if you find that chamois that you're like, oh my God, I could ride on this all day, every day. And I have a chamois that's like that in my closet. Just go buy a whole bunch of them, because at the end of the day, you're just going to want as many of them as you can so that you can ride as often as you can and not have to be doing laundry like every other day. So the other option for chamois is what we call bib shorts. And now bib shorts basically have like an attached suspender to them. So we call them a bib upper. And the upper is usually like a really meshy fabric. And you pull it up over your shoulders. And what that does for you is that it just helps to hold everything in place. So while your shorts might kind of wiggle down a little bit, or the waistband might fold over a little bit while you're on your bike, a bib short won't do that because the suspenders are kind of built in. They're going to hold everything in place. It's going to hold your chamois in place. It's going to hold your short in place. Nothing's going to fall down. And so if you are really looking for the next level in what to wear for cycling apparel, you want to start investing in bib shorts. Once you've made the jump to bib shorts, I promise you will never go back. The next key piece that you want to start thinking about is a road jersey if you are riding on the road. And this is because road jerseys will end up being really lightweight, so you can go out there and you're not going to overheat. Number two, they come with storage options. So almost every single road jersey that's out in the world has 3 back pockets or 2 back pockets, and it is meant to help you carry your keys and your credit card, your photo ID, because again, you are a vehicle out on the road. So you need to make sure that you have your photo ID with you. You are operating a vehicle on the road. You can also carry some food with you if you need to carry food, like maybe, an hour into the ride, you think you might need to refuel a little bit. So you can put like a Cliff Bar or a Kind Bar or whatever you want to take with you. You can put that in your pocket. You can also bring some tools with you. So we really recommend that if you're going out on a road ride, because there can be a lot of stuff out on the road that can give you a puncture, we really recommend that you learn how to fix a flat and bring those tools with you on your rides so that you're not stranded out there in case something happens. So a road jersey is probably the next thing you want to look for. There are so many different nuances to cycling apparel. I will say probably the next key thing that you're looking for is cycling specific socks. There are some different heights that are available. The most popular height is going to basically go up to your calf, and that is the most popular way to wear cycling socks. If you are someone who gets cold a lot, you can buy arm warmers, knee warmers, or leg warmers. So these are basically just pieces that go on your arm. And so it's like a sleeve. It's just a sleeve. And then there's a piece of elastic at the top, and it kind of sticks to your skin, and then you pull your jersey on over it. And so this will keep your arms warm for a portion of the ride. And then let's say it gets warmer later and you don't need the full length sleeve, you can actually take it off really easily and stick it in your back pocket. Same with knee warmers. So those are kind of like, they'll cover your knee down to about like the top of your calf, or maybe not quite that far. And then leg warmers are like full length. So they'll go from your thigh all the way down to your ankle. And so those will help keep you warm, again, in the same scenario. We have different kind of cycling caps and hats that you can get. You can wear a headband underneath if your ears get cold, and you definitely want to put something on underneath your helmet to make sure that your ears stay nice and warm. That's the problem that I have all the time. If my ears get cold, I get too cold and then I get headaches, and it's like an ice cream headache, and it's the worst. So I am always looking for great like cycling headbands. We wear neck gaiters to keep ourselves warm. So those are basically like scarves that you kind of pull on over your head. It's basically just a tube of fabric. We have a variety of different kinds of jackets, some with pockets, some without, some are reflective, so that if you're out riding in like terrible conditions, let's say you have a rain jacket on because you're riding in the rain, it'll have reflective on it so that traffic can see you a little bit easier. And some of the best brands in the world know how to place those reflectives just right so that traffic not only sees you, but recognizes that you are a human being on a bicycle and that you are in movement. So if you're actually looking for reflectives to be in key places, If you're in the US, you really want your reflectives to be on your left-hand side because that's the side that traffic is going to see you on. And ultimately, you kind of want them to be on your ankle and on your hip. And if you can get one near your knee, that's ideal too, because if someone can see that there's like a cycling movement going on and it's reflecting light back at them, it's really easy for them to understand that that's a bicycle. It's someone on a bicycle moving. There are, let's see, what else can we talk about? There are shoe covers. You can put a cover over your shoe to keep your toes warm. There are toe covers. So if you don't want your whole shoe covered, you can just cover the toe cap of your shoe. There are base layers as well that you can wear. I will say base layers is probably the last key thing that I'm going to mention here today. So if you are definitely getting really traditional into the road cycling scene, one thing that you want to do is actually put a base layer on. It's a ultra wicking piece of a garment. It's basically a top, and it will actually help to wick sweat away from your body and move it to your jersey. It can also be an extra layer of warmth for you out there. So your base layer goes on, and then your bib typically goes on over the base layer. There's a great debate out there over whether your base layer actually goes on under the bib or over the bib. So if you have an opinion, let me know. I'd love to hear it. My base layers go on underneath my bibs, and then you throw your jersey on. And so there are so many different nuances here. One of the top YouTube videos that we have out there is how to wear knee warmers or how to put on your knee warmers. So we are going to start doing more of this here at Unmarked Street, letting you know all that we know about cycling apparel, because I think there's just so many different details that people don't know about. And so we are starting this new series. We're going to call it Two Wheel Wednesdays as we move forward, where we're going to be teaching a lot about cycling apparel, cycling in the way of the laws that we have out on the road, cycling rules. So if you're in on the in and you want to be a cycling community member, what are the like unspoken rules that you need to know? We're also going to talk a little bit about the race season, what's going on in the pro peloton. And so if you're interested in following us for Two Wheel Wednesdays and cycling is your jam, please come follow us over on YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel, and make sure that your notifications are set up so that you get your Two Wheel Wednesday video every single Wednesday. If you liked this episode and you would love to leave a review for us, we would love to have you do that. So we would appreciate it very much. Thanks so much for being with me today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Business of Apparel podcast. I would so appreciate hearing your thoughts on the show. And if you know someone who could benefit from it, please share it with them. My biggest desire is to help other apparel professionals understand the nuances of our industry so we can all work toward making better product for a better world. If you would like to connect further, I'd love to invite you to send me a message through my website, thebusinessofapparel.com, where I do weekly trainings through my YouTube video channel, a weekly newsletter, blog articles, and so many more resources to help you start and scale a profitable apparel brand. This podcast is produced by Box 7 Media, who I cannot speak highly enough of. If you're looking to start your own podcast, you can reach out to Jeremy at Box 7 Media on LinkedIn anytime.